Hi, it's Elisa with XYZ Wellness, and today we're going to do a core practice. So it's not going to be a very long practice, but we're going to do a lot of moves focusing. Hi, it's Elisa with XYZ Wellness. Welcome to a practice designed to give a little bit of extra attention to an area that I think we all like to focus on, and that's our core. So remembering that our core really is more than just our abs. So a lot of people think just about those six-pack abs, or we want to have that look of a six-pack. But really our core is more than just our abs. It's our abs, our low back, our hips, our glutes, our hamstrings. Really kind of a way to think about it is everything from shoulders to knees, front to back. So that's, a pretty big portion of us, but we're going to focus some attention right there. So we'll come onto our backs and maybe using a hand to help us lower, and we'll make our way onto the ground. And we'll start with just a little bit of focused attention on the breath. So I invite you to close your eyes here. Maybe taking in a big inhale through the nose and then open mouth exhale. And perhaps repeating that one or two more times. Allowing your breath to come back to a more natural rhythm. We'll take a few moments to notice the breath. Noticing the quality and the texture. Noticing if your breath naturally gravitates to any particular part of the body, or even noticing if you're feeling some tension in the body, any areas of tightness. And then if so, directing the breath into that part of the body and inviting a sense of release and letting go. We're only going to stay here a few more moments, so just allowing the breath to soften the body, letting the mind quiet down. And if your eyes are closed, they can stay closed, or you can choose to open them as we begin to create some movement now for the lower body. So from here, we're going to feel our low back with its natural curve. So not overly pushing the low back into the ground and not overly arching the back, which would create some lower back tension. So finding that neutral position. And then inhaling, maybe finding that low back pressing down a little bit lower. And as we exhale, we'll bring the left knee in towards the chest. Right foot can stay on the ground. We'll inhale, setting that left foot down, and exhaling right knee into the chest. Switching sides with your breath, maybe adding arms, so arms could go overhead. Only if that feels okay to the shoulders and the low back. But when you raise your arms overhead, you feel a little discomfort in the low back. Keeping arms next to the body. So right now we're warming up the lower body, getting into the legs, the lower back, the hips. And you can stay just like this if you'd like, or if you want to turn this more into a little bit of some core work, a little more attention on the core, we could extend that bottom leg. And that bottom leg can either be hovering an inch or two off the ground, or it can be resting on the earth. So we'll switch. Again, finding your place here. If that's too much, letting that leg hover, letting it come to the ground. Or you can stay lifted. If you want a little more work, you might choose to lift the head and the neck. Maybe switching, almost as if you were scissoring the legs now. But remembering, anytime we need to, you can bend that bottom knee. It doesn't need to be wrong. Finding what feels good to you as we move through a few repetitions. If we have that leg extended, we'll flex the feet, flexing both feet actually. And then lowering the head down to the ground. Once you feel balanced between both sides, we'll bring the feet down to the earth. The feet are about hip distance apart, maybe even as wide as the mat, and we'll let the knees sway from one side to the other. And then bringing the feet back to hip distance apart. We'll bring arms down next to the body. We're going to start to move through bridge pose. The feet are about hip distance, as I stated, and we'll inhale, starting to peel the tailbone and then the lower back and each of the vertebrae into this diagonal position from knees to shoulders. Exhaling, lowering down. And then we'll inhale, lifting, engaging the core, so thinking about that belly button drawing in. And exhaling down. We'll use those feet, so thinking about pushing down into the four corners of the feet. Help us lift the hips. You might imagine that there's a string in the belly button and we're lifting this up towards the sky. We want to be really careful here that we're keeping that straight line. Lifting and lowering with your breath, using the in-breath to lift, and the out-breath to lower. Again, arms might start to move along, moving with the body. If that feels uncomfortable, you can keep your arms on the floor the whole time. Strengthening the back of the body, push it into the hips and the glutes, the lower back. While we open the front of the body, we're opening the hip flexor area that gets tight from sitting, creating openness into the lower belly. Maybe just one more time like this. And exhaling down, maybe giving those knees a hug, rocking back and forth or side to side. Bring feet down to the floor. We'll keep the knees bent and we're going to lift the left foot towards the sky. This knee can be bent as much as you'd like, so if you want to bend it a little more, feel free. We're going to start making some circles. We're going to use our core to keep the body stable. Making the circle as big or as small as feels good. You notice when you get bigger, you have to use that core to control the body a little more. Take a longer time in this direction. And then we'll reverse that. So starting small. Maybe making bigger circles. And then bending the knee. We'll bring that foot back down and we'll switch to the other side. Again, noticing any discomfort in the back of the leg here, the hamstrings. So if you're tight in the hamstrings, you can bend that knee as much as you need. Just a couple more in this direction. And then we'll pause and go the opposite direction. And bending that right knee down to meet the left. Pausing for just a moment to allow the spine to come into a neutral position. We'll inhale. extending the arms and the legs. First, just like we're doing a big good morning stretch, creating as much space from the toes to the fingertips. Then we'll walk the feet over to the left side. Arms can come to the left side as well, creating a banana shape with our body, banana asana. If there's any discomfort in the shoulders, we can hold on to elbows, or if you feel tingling in the fingers, you can bring the arms back down alongside the body. And you can cross one leg over the other, one ankle over the other. Elongating all along the right side of the body, into the ribs, the intercostal muscles, maybe feeling this into the legs, into the IT bands. And we'll come across center. We'll do that to the other side. Again, making any adjustments for the arms that might be needed. Letting the breath be steady. And making our way back to center. Arms come down next to the body. And again, you might choose to hug the knees in, or maybe windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Side to side. Bring feet down to the floor. We'll roll to one side, using our hands to help us lift into tabletop pose. So coming onto hands and knees. And first finding cat and cow. And we want to make sure for cat and cow that our hands are directly underneath shoulders. But if we have any wrist issues, we could make wrist for wrist or come down on forearms. Knees are under hips. And we'll first start with a big exhale, rounding the spine. Chin comes towards the chest. And then as we inhale, we'll let the belly drop and the heart come forward for cow pose. Exhaling, rounding. Inhaling, extending. Massaging the spine, massaging the back. Moving with your breath. Using the full inhale to come forward for cow, and the full exhale to round. One vertebra at a time. After this next cow pose, we'll come into a neutral position with the spine. And you might decide that you want to stay there with cat and cow, or if you'd like, we can bump it up a notch by coming into our spinal balance, which is really strengthening for the entire core, especially the back body. We'll inhale, extending the right arm forward, thumbs up towards the sky, hips are level, and then we'll exhale down. Inhaling, left arm forward, reaching out, exhaling down. Switching sides with the breath, so just like cat and cow, having that flowing breath. And then this next time we might choose to add in the opposite leg, so extending right arm, left leg, toes are pointing down towards the floor. Inhaling to lower, and actually inhaling to extend, exhaling to lower. And if you're ever not sure where to breathe, just making sure the breath is flowing. And if we're choosing to lift opposite limbs, really thinking about getting longer. So it's not just about lifting the limbs, it's about reaching them in opposite directions. I create more space between the vertebrae. You might feel a nice firming for the glutes, engaging those buttock muscles. Maybe some strength for the legs here as well. We can imagine that you have a glass of water on the low back. You want to keep that water from tipping or spilling. We'll do just one more time to each direction. Remembering we could be doing arms or legs independently as well. And then bringing the big toes to touch. Knees can be wide. We'll take our hips all the way back into child's pose, extending the spine, letting the forehead rest on the ground. Or if your forehead doesn't make it all the way down, you can stack the backs of the hands, or maybe a sofa cushion underneath the forehead. We want to bring our head all the way down to the ground to release the back of the neck. And if it doesn't make it there, then it's okay to prop it to add a little bit of support. We'll bring our attention into our low back and the sacrum. Breathing into that area. Into the hips and the pelvis, noticing any sensations. Okay, just one or two more breaths right here. Deciding to stay in child's pose if this is feeling really good, or you can extend the arms forward, rolling the fingertips to the top of the mat. If knees are wide, we'll bring them back into alignment with the hips, and we'll curl the toes under to lift into a downward facing dog. Keeping knees bent to find that lift in the hips. And our goal here is a long, straight spine. Our goal isn't necessarily getting the feet all the way down to the ground. So if we need to keep those knees bent to find that leg and stay here, or you might choose to walk your dog, lowering one heel to the ground, lifting that opposite heel, and then switching sides. So as we lower one heel to the floor, maybe feeling a nice stretch for the back of the legs, into the ankle, especially in the calf. Starting to wake up the feet a little bit. And lowering these down to the ground. So what we're about to do, you can either do on hands and knees or from down dog where we just were. So I'll show you both ways and you can decide whichever feels best for you. So we'll start in tabletop, and we'll extend the left leg out behind us. So almost like that spinal balance with both arms on the ground, both hands on the floor. We'll exhale, bring knee in towards the nose. And then inhaling out. Exhaling down, and we'll switch sides, extending that right leg out. And then exhaling, right knee in. Inhaling out. So again, you could decide to stay right there, or maybe tucking the toes under to lift into a downward facing dog. Inhaling, right leg up, this time coming into a three-legged dog, toes are pointing down toward the floor. And then as we exhale, we'll shift the body forward, almost like plank pose, bringing the knee in towards the nose. And then inhaling up, toes are coming down towards the floor. We'll set that foot down, switching to the right side. Toes again down towards the ground. Exhaling as we shift forward, knee in towards the nose. Inhaling to lift. And exhaling to lower. Switching to the left side, again, lowering the knees down to the floor anytime you need to, doing that from tabletop. We're going for quality over quantity. We're not rushing here in any way, moving with very intense or intensive intention, moving with intention and awareness. It might be intense as well. Having awareness about the belly button drawing in towards the spine, keeping the low back safe. If at any point the low back feels uncomfortable, knowing that we can come back to cat and cow or to child's pose. We'll do one more like this for each side. And we'll all come into a kneeling posture. We'll give our wrists a little break. Maybe circling the wrists. You can circle on that. Maybe make some figure eights. Okay. Hold on to the wrist, point the fingers down, first in towards the body, away. Might feel good to shake out the hands a little bit. And if at any point your wrists get too fatigued, now you can come onto the blocks. So if you have blocks at home, you can come onto your forearms and do this with forearms. We're going to take this up just one more notch, but knowing that if you've already done enough, you can come back to cat and cow or child's pose. So finding your starting point, whether it's in tabletop or downward facing dog, fingers are wide, like starfish, and tuck the toes under. So lifting that left leg either out behind us in tabletop or up to the sky for three-legged dog. And this time, as we exhale forward, we'll bring the knee towards the elbow. Inhaling back, and then exhaling to lower. Going to the other side, engaging that core, knee towards the elbow, and then inhaling up, exhaling down. So we'll do just a few times, moving at your own pace, but remembering we're not trying to rush this. We're moving deliberately with a sense of mindfulness and attention to that core. Pausing anytime you need to. You can always rejoin us. And maybe if you do just a couple, and next time maybe doing one or two more. So always thinking about this as our yoga practice. We're never trying to be perfect. And then from here, lowering knees down to the floor. Coming into child's pose, any variation, but it might feel really good to bring hands back towards the feet, releasing through the wrists. Maybe circling the wrists a little bit or wiggling the fingers. Relaxing the shoulders. And then just rocking the brow on the yoga mat. Bringing the hands forward. We'll shift up and then onto our bottoms. Extending the legs forward. We'll make our way back onto our backs. Big hug here. Either keeping the knees rocking in towards the body. You can place the feet on the floor or choosing happy baby. For happy baby, you can hold on behind the thighs, the calves, maybe reaching for the feet. Inviting the hips down towards the ground, and then just rocking side to side if that feels good to the low back. If it creates any type of discomfort for the spine or you have disc issues, then staying still. And then out of that, we'll bring feet down to the floor. And we'll lift both hips up and over to the right side, dropping the knees to the left side. We spiral the belly button and the chest over to the right, finding a nice, easy twist. That left hand can be on the top leg, or arms can be spread in a T shape. Turning the head either to the right or up to the sky. One or two more breaths right here. Bring knees back to center. Letting the spine come back into a neutral position. And then we'll shift by lifting the hips up and over to the left, knees drop to the right, taking that twist to the left side now. Maybe turning the head in the direction of that left hand. If that feels uncomfortable, you could just look up. Always honoring any sensations in your body. Letting the breath slow down. I'll take just one or two more breaths right here. And then coming back to center, finding any final movements that your body might need. Bring feet to the floor. We can keep knees bent, the knees dropping in towards each other, or if you'd like, extending the legs so that feet are wider than the hips, and let the feet drop off to the side, lifting the shoulders a little bit underneath the body, so finding a nice lift in the heart, coming into final relaxation. So any position that allows your body to be at ease, and you might choose to place a pillow underneath the knees or underneath the back of the head. Allowing the whole body to release and let go, sinking into the earth. Letting go of any gripping or holding. And then if you have the time, you might choose to stay here in Shavasana. Or if you need to get on with the rest of your day, bring some movement into the body, maybe wiggling the toes or the fingers, placing the thumbs across the fingertips. And bending the knees. Carefully turn to one side into baby pose. Using the top hand to help us lift into a comfortable seat. Sitting up very tall, lifting from the spine, creating space between each of the vertebrae once again. We'll bring hands together at the space of the heart. Thank you so much for sharing this short practice with me. The light within me honors the light within you. Namaste. Thank you once again for sharing this time, and have a wonderful day. Namaste.